4 minutes past 10. The comment lines are all open. Something going wrong with my headphones there, but the comment lines are all open if you do want to get through to us on 09177 0077. Well, we told you the story about Matthew Fitzpatrick, and Matthew was murdered, according to his family, in Mannheim in Germany on the 11th of December 2010 at the age of 34. Again, the German police have gone to extraordinary lengths to cover up his murder and insist that he died of suicide. I'm joined yet again by Laura, his sister, and Patrick, his brother, who sit opposite me in studio. Patrick and Laura, morning to you. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for joining us again. Patrick, I did say to you, we're working on this with you for 4 years now, and it is absolutely, totally wrong that the German authorities are just ignoring what has happened to your brother Matthew. Well,
it's absolutely, and it's sheer incompetence and unprofessionalism on the part of the German police, and it almost borders on racism as well. You know, Matthew was a foreign citizen. They knew he was Irish, and yet they haven't carried out any investigation. They haven't proven anything in relation to Matthew dying of suicide.
Now, you carried out forensics. You got information yesterday. Yeah. I mean, our listeners would have followed this because we spoke around the time that Matthew's funeral took place. And since then, you've been fighting. You've met Charlie Flanagan, the minister.
Yes, we met Charlie Flanagan in November of last year. We had an hour-and-a-half meeting with him. And we stated our case. We talked about the evidence, and we made two specific requests, which were for him to appoint an officer to work with us, to go through our evidence with us and report back to him. He declined to take that offer up. We also asked him to make a formal and public statement to the German authorities to have the case reopened, and he said he will not do it. Now, we expressed our dissatisfaction with this.
Sorry, Patrick, let's go back here a second. You have compelling evidence to show that he did not commit suicide with the belt in question, that he was murdered.
Absolutely. The evidence points clearly at third-party involvement in Matthew's death, we believe is murder.
Yeah,
now,
and rolling the clock back, you know, and you have other evidence, and
yes,
it was badly handled at the time.
Yes. I mean, the evidence is very strong, certainly we've had to do the police investigation for them. We've gone out to forensic analysis on three specific areas. One was a forensic engineer who came from Trinity College, who analysed autopsy reports, images of the autopsy, statements from people that were there at the scene, and also images of the belt. He had stated that the three different descriptions on how Matthew's ex-girlfriend found Matthew were all impossible. He also stated that he was shocked over the fact that the German police carried out no forensic investigation and they haven't proven suicide. His statement is extremely strong in that regard. So this notion that Matthew was found hanging is incorrect. There was nobody had seen Matthew hanging. He was seen lying on the floor.
Except his girlfriend.
Well, she alleged he was. And we have proven that the three descriptions, very different descriptions that she had given, were all impossible. She had changed her description when we challenged each one.
Can we go back, though, to the cause of death, I suppose, on this one? Let's go back to cause of death, then.
Sure, yeah.
What is the cause of death, according to the independent forensic analysis you've done, the autopsies that you got done in a Dublin hospital, and the autopsy that was done in Mannheim?
Matthew died of ligature strangulation, so asphyxia due to ligature strangulation. And that was the cause of death that came out of the autopsy report in Ireland and the inquest.
Okay, so somebody effectively choked him.
Yes, the injuries on Matthew's body, which are 45 injuries, some of them were classed as defensive wounds. Now, to class something as a defensive injury means that Matthew was defending himself against somebody. There was an altercation heard in the apartment that night between the hours of 2:30 and 3:30 in the morning by the neighbours. They gave a description to the police. The police didn't investigate it. They said that they heard a person or people within the apartment, but the German police didn't look to see who those people were. Now, the German police carried out an autopsy in Germany, which lasted an hour and 50 minutes compared to the 7-hour autopsy in Dublin. In our view, it was unfinished. They didn't list any of the 45 injuries. They had a number of injuries. Specifically, the injury to the back of Matthew's head was called a blunt force trauma. It is believed that object could be something like a knuckle duster. The German pathologist stated originally that it was a skin irritation. When that's been challenged recently at the back end of last year, he said it was post-mortem change. They can't even make up their mind on what these injuries are. and yet the Irish government are allowing them to change their minds to suit.
But can I ask you, Patrick, I mean, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you sat in my office up one fine summer's day and you took me through the autopsy report. I'm no medical clinician. You showed me some very disturbing photographs that you had.
Yes.
Of the original autopsy, correct?
Yes.
And the autopsy in Dublin. And they're at one. I mean, there are some of the information is at odds. So why is it taking so long to have this case reopened?
We don't understand. It's very difficult to answer that question. What we don't understand is why is the Irish government accepting this? Now, we've given the Irish government all information. Now, they have the option of standing on the side of justice or standing on the side of incompetence from the German police, and that's what they've done. They've stood on the side of incompetence, and it's pretty much, in our opinion, they're standing on the side of the criminals that carried out this brutal murder. We can't understand why the Irish government won't stand up like they did over the weekend for the Irish citizen in Egypt who's in a prison in Egypt. And Charlie Flanagan had stated that his department will do all that they can to help the freeing the young lad in Egypt. Why can't Charlie Flanagan say that the injuries to Matthew's body at least need to be answered by the German authorities? Why is he so afraid to confront the German authorities? We have to have that level of pressure put on Germany, because at the end of the day, they're shrugging their shoulders and they're just laughing. They can say and do what they want. And the Irish government can't accept that. The evidence is overwhelming. You've got medical evidence, scientific evidence. We have provided the German authorities with the circumstantial evidence, the threats that Matthew had received. I mean, that specifically should have been challenged, because they didn't interview the person who carried out these threats because he needed a translator. You know, we're talking about murder, not some petty crime. And it's a serious, serious issue, and the Irish government are too afraid to stand up to the Germans.
Stay with me if you don't mind. I'm going to turn up that set of headphones between yourself and Laura. I want to go to many years ago. I did ask Kieran Cannon to get involved in this. Deputy Kieran Cannon, good morning to you.
Good morning, Keith.
I did ask you to get involved in this many years ago. What's your read on this?
Hello?
Are you with me, Kieran?
Sorry, Keith, my apologies.
Sorry.
Just momentarily dropped out there for a second.
I said, what's your read on this? You've been working on this with the family.
I have. I think at all times when anyone is beginning the process of supporting any family, no matter how straightforward or how challenging the issue is, one must always place one's, as if you were with that family, that you try and imagine what the experience has been like for them, losing a brother, losing a loved one in another country, and feeling very much cast adrift by the people that should be setting out to support them. And when you do that, you have no option but to do all you can in your power to assist that family in seeking justice for Matthew. I was happy to be able to facilitate that meeting with Minister Flanagan at the time. And after the meeting took place, he wrote quite a long letter to me outlining the circumstances of the case and the opinion of both himself and his officials that they couldn't directly intervene in the judicial process of another state. But as Patrick has pointed out, there is precedent for exactly that happening in the past. I mean, just this weekend, again, as Patrick has pointed out, the Minister has very, very forcibly called for the trial of Ibrahim Alawi to take place as quickly as possible. Here's a young man, a young Irish citizen, in prison in Egypt for almost 2 years now with no trial taking place. And the Minister quite legitimately raised the concerns of the Irish government and indeed of the Irish people with the Egyptian authorities that this case is taking far too long to go to trial.
Okay, but is it not a fairly simple thing, Kieran, on this, for Enda Kenny to get involved and in one of the cosy meetings that he's having with Angela Merkel to say, listen, can you open an inquiry on this, please, because we need to get to the bottom of this?
At this point, on the basis that Minister Flanagan has said that it is not possible for him to intervene directly in the judicial process of another state, and where there is precedent in the past for doing exactly that, that's the next port of call for me, Keith. I'm going to raise this directly with the Taoiseach this week. I'm going to point out to him that, again, that there is compelling, and it's absolutely compelling when you read it, the forensic evidence, very serious questions to be asked about the investigation in Germany. And what both the Fitzpatricks and myself have pointed out over and over again is we're not asking the Irish government to form a predetermined opinion as to what the outcome of an investigation might be. We're simply asking that an investigation be opened and that the very highest authority in the policing system in Germany would carry out that investigation. And if that happens, and if sometime in the future conclusions are drawn as to how exactly Matthew died, well, then we would have to, I suppose, accept those conclusions. But at this point in time, that investigation hasn't happened. The highest policing, or indeed just judicial authority in Germany, hasn't investigated this. Even the most simple request that the Fitzpatricks have made of the Minister at that meeting in November, that an Irish forensic expert, indeed, I would argue any competent member of the Irish police force, if they were to sit down with the Fitzpatricks tomorrow morning and look at the file, look at the evidence, they could only draw one conclusion: that this investigation was not carried out properly and needs to be reopened again. And that's all that they're looking for. It's not for the Irish government to dictate to the German authorities that Matthew was murdered. That is not what they're looking for. They're simply asking that the investigation be reopened. I think it's a very, very simple request. I think it's a very fair and a very legitimate request. And on that basis, I'll be going to the Taoiseach this week and asking that he intervene directly. And we'll then...
Could the likes of Dr. Mary Cassidy be asked to review the information that they have?
She could. That's a distinct possibility.
And make a determination on it with the family and sit and listen.
Well, I mean, one of the highest authorities, one of the foremost forensic experts in the country, has already carried out a very detailed autopsy and raised serious questions about the conclusions drawn by the German autopsy. So I think it would be a legitimate request to make that the outcome and the detail emerging from the autopsy here in Ireland would be presented to Mary Cassidy, and that she would form her own conclusions based on that. And I think if she did, I think she'd find it exceptionally difficult not to side with the Fitzpatrick family in drawing the conclusion that there are serious questions to be asked about the efficiency and of the investigation carried out in Germany and the conclusions drawn from that investigation.
But how much more can the family go through?
They've been through absolute
hell and back.
Hell and back. It's been appalling. And I mean, the most of all, they feel alone. They feel unsupported by their own government, not alone by this minister, but by the previous minister. I'm very, very disappointed as a colleague of those two ministers that they haven't seen fit to do that very simple thing, to ask for the investigation to be reopened. That's all that we're asking for, nothing more. I can't imagine if my own brother, my own family were in a similar situation. It would be exceptionally difficult to tolerate that, to cope with that for over 4 years now. And look, I mean, I'll do all that I can, Keith, to support them. I will continue working with them. I will raise it with the Taoiseach this week and see can we make some progress on that front. But and Patrick will agree with me here. I mean, there is a significant opposition from within the senior ranks of the Department of Justice, the Department of Foreign Affairs, that there is no opportunity here, no protocol, if you want to call it that, for the Irish government to become involved in this.
Okay, but can the Fitzpatrick family go to Europe on this one?
Yes, I assume they could. No reason why not. But I don't think they should have to do that. Why should the family have to go alone, bereft of support, to Europe, when the most natural and most just thing to happen would be for their own government, their own state, their own machinery of state to support them in simply asking for the investigation to be reopened, nothing more, nothing less than that.
All right, Patrick, can I just ask you just to comment on what Kieran has said there?
Well, we've been very grateful for the support that Kieran has provided since you introduced him to us. We're certainly pleased that he's actually been very proactive and he's going to be proactive in getting Enda Kenny to intervene. We need to apply pressure, and Kieran is an important voice to applying pressure, but that has to happen now. We can't wait any longer for the Irish government to pussyfoot around and to say that they'll look into things or that they're not going to get involved, or at this moment in time they're saying we need new evidence.
You have it.
We have the evidence. The German authorities have just refused to look at it. We have the evidence. It's stockpiled. It's a 400-page document of evidence proving that Matthew was murdered. And now we're having to provide more new evidence. This is a nonsense. And that's why we asked Minister Flanagan to appoint an official to go through the evidence with us. So we definitely appreciate Kieran Cannon's intervention. We need Kieran Cannon to be a very strong political voice for us, not only asking the Irish government to play their role and a very important role in standing behind justice for Matthew, but also to request to the German authorities directly to reopen this investigation. And there's no reason why Kieran can't do that either.
Can I ask, Laura, morning to you. I'm leaving you out of the because Patrick has immersed himself in it. How are the family through this?
We were very, very close family. We still are a very close family. And the impact is really undescribable. It's a total roller coaster of emotions that we've been through in the last 4 years. We are still trying to be able to deal with the pain because we've so much pain and hurt in us. But we've a lot of anger and frustration because we have to fight for justice. We have to fight for Matthew. So because of that, we can't fully grieve. It's been prolonged and we don't have closure. But it's like the chain is broken within the family. Matthew isn't there anymore. And the impact on that, on my parents and on the family, it's really devastating.
I suppose anybody that can help you, Patrick, I'm leaving your microphone open there as well. Anybody that's listening to us this morning that has a grain of salt or a grain of influence anywhere, you'd like them to come and help you.
Yes, we've actually just early this morning launched a petition on the Justice for Matthew website. Okay. It is to ask the Irish government to intervene on those two specific elements we asked Minister Flanagan to do, and that was appointing an official to go through the evidence and to make a formal and public statement of a request to the German authorities. Mm-hmm. So we need the voice of the people of Galway, Connacht and Ireland to be part, to add their vocal support to our campaign. It's really important. Now, I've written a number of letters out to organisations within the Galway region in the hope of getting their vocal support. And we need to show that it's completely unacceptable that a German authority are allowed to treat any family or any individual in this way. Matthew's human rights have been completely violated. And anybody out there who understands what we're going through are feeling that same pain, and they understand. But the people out there that this is just another story of another death, but it's the impact that this is having, and we can't allow this to continue. Germany is part of the EU. We're supposed to be civilised. We're supposed to have a duty of care. And they have not, the German authorities have not provided any duty of care towards my family.
Do you ever feel like throwing the towel in and
No.
walking away?
No. Never, absolutely not. If they think that we're going to go away, if they think that they're going to tire us out and make us go away, they're dealing with the wrong people. The fight will never stop. It's a brick wall that's in front of us. And you keep banging a brick wall, it'll eventually come down.
All right, well, he has said that he will, Kieran Cannon said he will bring it up at the Taoiseach today. And I think anybody else that can assist in this, and maybe the Human Rights Centre in NUI Galway guys, who might be something that could assist as well, because it's a compelling case. Laura, just going back, I mean, again, it's you want closure for the family, quite simply. Yes,
to have the closure means that we can finally grieve properly. We can finally...
You want answers?
We want the answers. There's too many unanswered questions. There are too many lies being told. It's like Matthew's life has been dismissed. He meant nothing to the governments, but he meant the world to us. And family is important, and that's what the old Irish traditions were, But we're being dismissed, and that alone is very difficult to take. And it's terrible that we have to fight for justice, and I think it's terrible that other families too have gone through something similar. And they too have had to fight for justice.
All you want is the truth.
We want the truth.
That's all you want.
That's it.
Give it to us as it is.
Closure.
Yeah.
We want to be able to grieve for Matthew properly.
Open the file again. All right, guys, listen, thanks for popping into us. Laura, thank you for popping into Laura Fitzpatrick and Patrick Fitzpatrick. Justice for Matthew. Go to that website, please, 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 and sign that petition today. I'll do it during the 11 o'clock news. Keep in contact with us, guys. And I really hope, Patrick, that for your sake and for the family's sake and everybody's sake, that somebody opens an inquiry into this very quickly.
Yes, it has to happen this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, if it doesn't happen now, an election, and you're fairly well on your own as it is without Kieran Cannon, so Somebody has to do something this year. All right, guys, thank you for joining us. If you can assist in any way, if you make contact with us, we can put you in contact with the Fitzpatrick family, or go to the Justice from Matthew Fitzpatrick website and get further details. It's 10:44.